Joining me now is Richard Engel in Jerusalem. So, Richard, what's the mood like in the region, particularly where you are in Israel?
Well, people are bracing for an attack that could come at any moment. People think that maybe it's going to happen tonight. We heard the same thing yesterday and the day before. It is a country that is living on rumors. People are watching the news. They are exchanging tips. They are listening to the Israeli army, which says, as of now, there is no change in the level of national alert. Israeli officials say they are already bracing for an attack, and they have started to make preparations. The leader of CENTCOM, the U.S. Central Command, is here. He's a guest of the Israeli Defense Ministry. And that's the same situation that happened in April when Iran carried out its first ever attack directly against Israel, also back then in retaliation for an Israeli strike then on a Iranian diplomatic facility in Damascus. But that said, the mood is relatively relaxed, even though people are bracing for a retaliatory strike and the government is taking preparations. The U.S. military has moved assets to the region. There are still people who are on the beaches in Tel Aviv today. The buses and traffic are still flowing here in Jerusalem. This is a country that is very well defended. So there is no panic by any means, but they are certainly getting ready, and there is an expectation that there will be a response, that there will be a response from Iran and its allies, particularly Hezbollah, and that it could come sooner rather than later.
Well, talk to me, Richard, about the behind-the-scenes effort here to try and tamp down these tensions. We know that Jordan's foreign minister made a rare visit to Tehran to try and de-escalate the situation. How significant was that meeting, and what kind of role does Jordan play in this interface?
So Jordan plays a very interesting role in the region. It is a close ally of the United States. It has a peace treaty with Israel. And in April, during that first ever attack by Iran, when Iran launched 110 cruise missiles, 220 drones, some of those missiles and drones were shot down over Jordan. And here in Israel, people thank Jordan for that. But it put the Jordanian king, the Jordanian monarchy, in a very uncomfortable position. Many Jordanians didn't like the fact that Jordan, in effect, was defending Israel at the same time that Israel is carrying out its campaign in Gaza that, according to health ministry officials there, has killed nearly 40,000 people. Many people in Jordan are Palestinians. The majority of the population is Palestinian. So Jordan does not want to see another escalation, does not want itself to be in the middle of a fight between Iran and Israel, let alone be forced to be a participant in the fight the way it was last time. So Jordan definitely wants to see a de-escalation, has a vested interest in it.
And before these assassinations, it seemed as though ceasefire negotiations were very near conclusion. At least it looked to be promising. President Biden has now said that the assassinations have hurt that process. It certainly said it wasn't helpful. Well, what's the status of those talks? Is there any hope for a ceasefire in the near future?
Not in the near future, no. The ceasefire negotiations have been frozen since the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas political leader in Tehran. And that is the retaliation that is expected for his killing and for the killing of the Hezbollah military leader in Beirut. But those two assassinations are very different. The Hezbollah military leader was a hidden figure, someone who was involved in planning attacks, according to the United States, going back to the 1980s. His picture was not known. He was someone who was actively involved in carrying out attacks against Israel almost on a daily basis. Ismail Haniyeh was the political leader of Hamas. He was also part of the negotiating team. Now that he is dead, Hamas says it can't continue the negotiations until it replaces the negotiator, and it also destroyed trust. The Qatari prime minister said, how can you have negotiations? Or the negotiations are certainly harmed when you have one negotiating side killing the other negotiating side. So that attack, which surprised many members of the Biden administration, has certainly dealt a blow to the negotiations. And there are many hostage families who are very distraught because they thought that the negotiations could have progress and could see their loved ones come home. But now instead, we are in a situation where we are bracing for a retaliation and a potential escalation. Because last time in April, the situation was contained, but it didn't have to be. If one of those drones had landed in a major city, if it had fallen here in Jerusalem, or one of the cruise missiles had exploded in Tel Aviv, there could easily have been a major regional or international war. So the possibility is still there. And I think that's why you saw the conversation yesterday with Defense Secretary Austin and why the CENTCOM Commander, General Kurilla, is here right now.
Well, Richard Engel, at the center of where the tension is at an all-time high in the Middle East, we appreciate you being there. Thank you for that report.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.